Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 26th of June 2020. Today we are going to talk about some theory. Today is actually my favorite day of the week, Friday, because we get to take a deep dive into some supply and demand, buy and sell zone theory. So I really enjoy Fridays. Yesterday I did a webinar for FX Street, and the material that we covered yesterday was essentially how you effectively identify these buy and sell zones. So today we're going to go over similar material, and we are going to start on this chart. Maybe we won't even leave this chart. Knowing myself, we'll probably go on a random walk through a bunch of time frames and a bunch of symbols, but I'd like to start on this time frame because this is a really nice one, especially where price currently is for the British pound Australian dollar. So when you're looking for buy and sell zones, it's important to notice where price historically has attempted to breach an area and failed. This is really important, and you can see that we have something here. Currently where price is, notice that we had like a dotted rectangle. The Pipnotic software has found this, and you can see, had this been extended into the future, which I can do, just zoom in and then I'll put this on, you can see that when price left here, it was tested, and it failed, and it tested, and then it managed to go through. Okay, and this area is supply, because when price left here, it managed to remove this area, which was tested once and then removed. And so when you see something like this, you have to ask yourself the question, where did price have to go in order to consume the liquidity available at this price level? And if you look at this box is telling you where the thicket of the liquidity is. So if I just move this rectangle down to the area like that, and notice to the left of that we have a wick. Okay, so this is essentially kind of a slingshot being pulled back on a smaller time frame. It rallies, we move sideways, we accumulate, and then the eruption begins and price leaves. And so, price originated from roughly this area. This is what the software is telling us, at least. And you can see that price actually, I'm just going to remove this now, had to be pulled back to the low before we left. And so you have to look for these slingshots, is what I like to call them. If you consider a slingshot, you have a slingshot handle like this. It looks like this. Then you kind of have like the elastic, and it goes back, and it's, oh, that was a bit of an ugly one, and it goes back like that. Oh my goodness, what's going on? I'll try one more time. There, a little bit better. And then you have, it's attached to a pouch. Then you put the stone in the pouch, and then you pull it back as far as possible, and then it essentially leaves with great force the further back you pull the pouch. And you can see that, here we have the slingshot. It was pulled back to this level, then it left. Okay, and this is telling us that price had to come back to this level for it to leave this forcefully consuming this supply just here. And so what you do is you say, okay, if price had to come back to this level, then this is at least where it'll have to come in the future in order to find, to attract buyers. And you can see this is where price came to on the first test, to the pip, to the low. It came to the pip, and then it went up. Okay? And I'm not saying that you have to trade this. I'm just saying that theoretically, according to the Pipnotic theory that we like to cover regarding buy and sell zones, you have to find these slingshots, because this is the price points that price has to go to onboard buyers or sellers, in this case buyers. So price formed this accumulation candle, we went up, we had a micro pullback, then we went up, we came back, we formed an accumulation candle, the slingshot returned to this. This is the buy zone, the initial buy zone on a micro. This is a micro buy zone, visible likely on the daily chart, visible only as a wick on the weekly chart, and price revisited this area, and this is where it left from. So this is our reference point for the future. Okay, and the same thing applies for supply, where we have this area here, how we have sideways price, we have this candle and this candle and this candle. These two are not related, so we have actually two areas of demand. We have this one, and then we have the one above it, which is marked off by the top dotted box. Then you can see it's gone. Okay, and then price came down to the area here, and then it went up, it opened, and we had a small wick higher, and then we left. So that's telling us that the slingshot that we drew here was pulled back to the high of the candle right here. So this is likely where we're going to see price react at. So we can remove this. This is gone. The software has shown us where that was. This one did it. So at 188.57, we can expect price to have a bounce. We never know how long this bounce is going to play out. It can take minutes, likely not minutes. We're on the weekly chart, but likely days or even weeks. Okay, price will return to this level and then it'll depart. Okay, and you can see here price is currently testing this little area here. But notice this as well, that we do have multiple. I apologize, I have kids running around the house. We're currently packing, so it's a bit chaotic here. So we have, or I just close the door to make it slightly quieter. So you can see that we have here a lot of levels, testing levels. Okay, and in here as well, we had this area which was tested. Now it's removed. Okay, the area that price went to, so the beginning of the sell zone for this area was, first of all, we mark off the supply, which the software has done. So the sell zone is the highest, is the high of the candle that went through it. Okay, so this is where we can expect price to react at in the future. Price came back to it and we had a beautiful reaction, and then price left. Let's remove this so we don't confuse. Okay, so that's gone. And then here, notice that we had something in here. Let's just mark this off and have a look on a smaller time frame from here to here. Then we'll go down to the daily or even the 4 hour to have a look at what it was that was removed. Here we are. So we had this one here. Oops, I'll leave that there. We'll move this here. So this is the area. We had a micro demand. It was tested. Price sat on it. Slingshot was pulled back and then left. So we actually have excuse me, this is what we have here. So this is the one that removed it. So you have to focus on what area is responsible for causing this to get removed. And notice that price had a test, we failed. We had a test, we failed. We kind of built up orders to push price high. We rallied, accumulated, rallied. But did we manage to hold above the area? We did not. We came back down. Price went up. We had to go deeper. Okay, so this is telling us as well that we have demand. Why is this demand? Because price managed to move above these highs, and this one in particular. But the buy zone is the deepest retracement since price left. Notice that the close of this candle is just at the highs or even above the high of this candle. And so the buy zone is here. Okay, so we can expect price to bounce at this level. And notice also, this is the same stuff. It plays over and over again, how we had something in here really messy. Price left, we moved through this. We tested it, we came back down, we moved sideways, we went up, we failed. The slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. Okay, so this candle here was the one that went through it. The lower this candle is the one that price managed to test. So we'll remove this. We'll remove this. And so this is where we're expecting price to bounce in the future. Just here. It's been tested. What does that mean? Well, that means that you move this area, the buy zone, to the lows of the deepest retracement. And this is where we will reference for a buy in the future. Price poked into it, and now you can see it's pushing lower in order to attract more buyers. Okay, so it's advertising even cheaper prices. So let's have a look and see what price is actually reacting on. So we have this one here. We go back. Oops. We go back. And we have a look, and you can see here we have another candle that left. Okay, the candle had to go. Okay, let's analyze this very, very, very carefully, because when it gets like this, it's quite messy. And so when you see mess, it's often good to pass on it or look at the extreme, so the very bottom. Okay, so we have this. We had this area here. Let me make sure that's an area. Yes, so we had a low, price went down, slingshot was pulled back, and then we went. So this is actually where price had to return to before it left. I'm just going to remove this and this. This is where price had to go to. It's been tested. So price, we tested once, twice, a little bit deeper, we failed. Where did price have to go to in order for price to bounce? It had to go to here. So we have something in here. So we have another buy zone here. We have another buy zone here. And so I'm just going to remove this one. and this one. So we have the buy zone here, we have another buy zone here. What about lower? Well, lower we had we actually had this area here. It's marked off, it's been removed. The area that removed it, well, notice that price went through it. Do we have any do we have any candles form above it? We didn't. So price came back down. We poked down into this low just here, and then we left. So we actually have a few buy zones on top of each other. So the best one, best as in the cheapest, is down here. So this is the one where we could expect price to have a look, a bit of a bounce. Price has tested this one. Once it's been tested, you want to move it down to the deepest retracement. Let me remove, no, kill these. There we are. So we move this down because price has gone down here. Okay, so now we're down here and we're testing the lows. You can see on the small time frames there are going to be additional slingshots and additional buy zones down here. So we're going to have supply that's been removed. You can see this already here. You can see that we had something in here. This is one we just talked about. Looks like that. Price tested it. We failed. We went up, rallied, and went up. The origin, this is the area that removed it. So we're likely going to get a test there, but the origin of the move is at the bottom, the area that removed it. So the origin of the move, okay, this is the origin of the move. This is a simple continuation pattern that moved through this area. This is lower probability, this is higher probability. So the origin is here. Okay, so this is where price went to. But notice, price has already been back to this price level here, and a lot in here. And so when you see a big mess like this, as I mentioned, it's a good idea to focus on the ones below price. And notice as well here we have a lot of wicks, and the wicks are telling us once again that we have slingshots, micro slingshots in these zones. And so this is roughly where we can expect price to bounce in the future. Okay, this one has been removed by this one, so I just move it by this one here. First test. This is gone. This one was removed almost. Okay, now this one has been taken out by this one here. So we would move it over here. This is the origin of the move. It's a bit messy. Let's have a look. And so here we do the same thing. But notice we don't have any huge departures, do we? We don't have price kind of closing below these lows. And so this is making my stomach say that we're probably gonna begin to move higher at some point. Because we had a lot of push from here and in here, but now there's a lot of slowing down, a lot of white candles being painted. This is telling me that we have liquidity being distributed at these price points here where we can expect price to react. And so we started to enter buy zones. We're painting a lot of white candles. So this is telling me to sit on the sidelines and wait for this to play out. But we have this one here. So this one's this area of demand which has been tested. The buy zone was in here. But this one is testing this one is testing this one, but this one and this one here, they are not, there's no demand in here. These are mere reactions to demand, which is below price. And the reason I can say that is because I mean there's nothing in here. There's no demand in here. This is price reacting to a historical buy zone just in here. You can see this candle left. So here we have buying, we have actual buying, and the low of the slingshot is here. Okay, and this is where price reference in the future. So this is another buy zone. Okay, and then price left here. We moved above this. We moved through this here. We actually pierced this area just here, and price managed to hold above it from this price point here. And so at the 17700 area, we're likely going to have a bounce. And at the I can't even read what it says. Let's have a look. And at the 178 area, we're probably going to have a bounce as well. Okay, so that's what we have. And so essentially you're just finding these areas that have tested other areas, and you want to see the ones that are violating or removing historical levels. So if we remove all of this, go to the hourly chart, we have to find these areas. Okay, so where do you see historically respected areas that have been violated? Okay, looking at this, I can see one right here. You can see price tested it, and you can see there was a strong move. Price tested, we went higher, we came down, we went high, came down, we went higher, we came down. Price went down, we pulled up, there's a green candle, and then we left. Okay, so that's telling me that we have a sell zone higher. This is the supply in here, and here. This is the beginning of the sell zone, because price had to go. You have to look on a smaller time frame or zoom in. Let's have a look here. So here we have the area of supply. The price cut away, but we did not manage to pierce it, and so actually we have to go all the way up here, or around here. This is where price came to. Price poked into the area, nothing really happened. We had a final push, and then we left. So we left from here. So this actually lines up pretty nicely with the bottom of the box. I think we could comfortably and confidently say the 181.50 area, we're probably going to have some kind of a bounce. But looking at this looks a little bit of messy. It's a bit of chaos and not a lot of order. So you might want to go down to the 30-minute or the 50-minute chart to have a look. Wow, that certainly looked like chaos. Let's go like this. Okay, then we'll have a look, see if we can get a bit of clarity. And looking at this, I mean, it's really messy. We need to go to a smaller time frame yet. So let's find that here. So this is what we can see. You can see that we had price point, price left. This is the area. This is kind of testing the lows. If we mark off the lows, they're like this. Let's maybe find kind of an average of the lows. So let's say the lows were about maybe like that. We're testing this area here. Just mark that off. This is very rough. I can't see the detail. So this is where price came to again, tested. This one went through it, but we didn't hold. This one went all the way up here, all the way up here. You can see the pullback just here, and we left from here. We had another go, and then we left. So on this time frame, we're seeing the story being told that we have this area here. But if you look at this, when I see that, I think chaos. It's ugly. When I see that, it makes me want to look higher at a place where we have clarity. And you can see we have clarity here. This is a very interesting area, because this is essentially, I mean, price came down to this area more or less. We came back up. The slingshot was pulled back. We had a test, then we went down. And because of this mess here, if you view this area as a plate of pancakes, and all of these white bars, these are forks. Okay, so we have an upside down plate of pancakes, like so. Just going to draw these. Another one. It's a pretty big plate of pancakes. So we have a lot of people with forks who are really hungry, looking for pancakes. So each time we draw, we paint a white candle, we lose a portion of or one pancake. And so eventually they'll disappear. They'll go away, and eventually there'll be no pancakes. And all these white candles, this is just pancakes being eaten. So there's nothing in here now. And so you need to look above all of this mess. This is clarity. This shows a lot of strength. Let's do 2 times the area. Just here, the beginning of the sell zone is the high of this. So this plate of pancakes here is almost gone, but there could be one at the edge of the pancake, maybe even just beyond. Okay, and so this could be an interesting area to see if price reacts at this price point here. And also notice that we had an area here. This was tested. Price tried to go through it. We failed. At the low, the slingshot was pulled back to here. Excuse me. So this becomes the area of demand. Okay, price tested it. We sat on it. We went down. The slingshot was pulled back, and then we left. So this is actually price referencing the beginning of the sell zone, which is pretty close to here. So in a situation like this, I would look at the high of the deepest retracement of the area, which is this high just here, for a sell. And so for me, I would look to sell from the highs and above, maybe something like that. I don't trade on the 50-minute chart, maybe something like that. Okay, and this just becomes very clear. So if you look here on the 1 hour, we can see that it looks like this. So here you can actually see the candle to the left, just here. So we're going to have a small bounce here, but on the hourly chart, notice as well. Distribution, distribution. This candle closed below the low of this one. So on the hourly chart, it looks like this. Just mark off the whole area like that. So it looks like this. The candle to the left is this one. So this is the high. So you can see by doing this, you can see very clearly that the prices, number one, is fractal, and number two, you have the exact same patterns occurring over and over again on these different time frames. So if you're trading on the 15-minute chart that we were looking on earlier, it just means that your profits and your stops are relative to that time frame. Okay, because as you can see here, yeah, while we should be selling here because of the reasons we saw on the 50-minute chart, price will eventually want to move back up to the slightly bigger, more significant area of supply and sell zone on the hourly. And once that one is rebalanced and organized and distributed, they're just going to want to look to the 4-hour chart, and then the daily chart, and then the weekly, and then the monthly. Okay, and this continues to move from the small time frames all the way up to the big time frames. Okay, so let's clear this chart off. Default plus sync charts. Okay, now I want to show you something else. I'm going to show you a chart. This is the Australian dollar, American dollar. This is, I think this is a 1-hour chart. It doesn't really matter. But notice here on this chart, the same thing is happening, where we had price testing an area. You can see here, our price tested this area. It's a very small area. We're testing something in here. So we had a couple of tests here, another one here, another one here, a little bit deeper, then price finally went through it. This is the area that did it. And notice, actually I'll just use this line here, this is the area that did it. Notice that price had a pause there. Okay, then price finally cut through it. So what happens when price cuts through an area? Then it references that area for a test in the future. So we'll just mark that one off. This is here. You can see the green candle departed. Looks like this. It was tested. We had a nice rejection. Then it went up. Then it went down. But the price managed to close below it? No, it did not. It had another go. It failed. This one here is the one that removed this one. So this one's gone. We'll just mark this off like this. Price had to come all the way up to here. Okay, here, and this is the one that did it. Where did price stop? At this supply, at the sell zone, on the pip, on the pip. Okay, and then we have this one here. We had a lot of testing at this area here. Okay, we had a test, a couple of tests here, another one here. Price tested, but we didn't hold, did we? We had another go, we failed. What does that mean? That means that price is probably going to move higher. Okay, we had this one here, price was tested numerous times. We tested here, here, here. Price tested, we failed, we went down here. Price failed here. We went down, we went up. I better draw this area a little bit bigger. We failed, we failed. Now we managed to go through. Where did price have to come to in order to do that? We had to come to here. As a matter of fact, we had to come to this area, in this area of demand down here below price. Okay, and so now we mark off these highs, and we have another area just here. Okay, this is the origin of the move. This is the area of demand that caused price to hold above these highs just here. Okay, so this is where we can expect price to test. This is the Australian dollar, American dollar 1-hour chart. And notice, I'm going to show you something that'll probably blow your mind. Notice actually that this chart is upside down. Okay, so what was supply is now demand, and what was demand is now supply. And this is just to show you that it doesn't matter what side of the market you're working on. The result is exactly the same. Price is looking for buy and sell zones at supply and demand. That's all you need to know, and you have to look for these clues. Currently, we have price looking to move through this area. Okay, it's really trying to get through this area, but we're not having a lot of luck, as you can see. Okay, we also had price trying to move through this area at demand. We've got kind of a double-edged, two areas there. Okay, and it's failed. We have not managed to close. That means that price is probably going to move higher, because price is pushing deeper, 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 deeper. Eventually this will pop. We've also had this happen below price, but notice what's the trend doing? The major flows are moving up, and so you want to be trading in line with what you can see happening on the major time frames. So if we close this now, isn't that interesting how it doesn't even matter if it's upside down or not? The result is the same and the mechanics are the same. So if we look at this time frame, let's have a look at the, let me see if that is, yeah, that's the 1 hour chart. So we'll go to the Australian dollar, American dollar, 1 hour chart. This is it. And you can see here that the price is, I don't even know where that was, where that took place, how long ago I took that screenshot, but you can see that. And see, let's find. Okay, it wasn't the Australian or American dollar, it was the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. That's why the charts weren't lining up. But notice here that this chart, we were at this price point before. Now price is pushing higher. We pull back the slingshot. Now we're starting to move higher. So let's look why this happened. So here we can see that we had some wicks down. We had this. We also had micro supply just here. This is the one that traded below these areas. It's been tested once, twice, a bunch of times. Let's zoom in a little. Let's remove this. Okay, now it's gone. The area that removed it is this one. Software found it for us. It tested it, but now notice that this one's gone. And now it looks like price was looking to move towards the origin. And so looking at these highs here, let's use a line. We had some highs here, so we actually had an area in here, just here. Tested, and this one went through, but notice the price fell, the slingshot went down to here, and then we left. Okay, so this candle is the one that left. But like we saw in the other pair, there are a lot of areas on top of each other. So these are buy zones, testing buy zones, testing demand. And so this makes it quite difficult. When you have a big wick like this, it really, number one, it clears out liquidity below price, but also it makes it very confusing to look at. So in a situation like this, you have to really pay attention to the detail. Okay, so this is just really messy, as you can see. So what I would do in a situation like that is I would look low. When price goes like that, I mean, obviously there's something down here, and there is indeed. You can see we had some lows here, maybe the average test, it's gone. The area that did it is this one. The software found it. The area that removed it is this one. The origin of the move that did it is down here, so let's remove these. The origin is down here. This is a gap down, so we'll just mark off this whole area. This one closed above this, we'll just box off this whole area. So this here is the area that did it, is the origin of the move that did it, but price just poked through into this. This is like the next buy zone here. We can't see on this time frame from here to there. Okay, and we have the buy zone, which is just here. Price didn't quite get there. We just stopped at the demand, the top of the demand, and then we left. Okay, so all this stuff here is gone. And now price, as you can see, has removed this. So we tested it, failed, tested, failed, failed, failed. This one here is the one that did it. The beginning of the buy zone is here. But notice we have all this mess here. So this is levels testing levels. You have to be super careful, because this is telling you that on a smaller time frame we have the same thing happening on those time frames, on the smaller time frames. Again, so everything is fractal, and so you have to be aware of what's going on in the big time frames, but at the same time you have to put in the effort to dive down to the small time time frames to find the details. Anyway, that was a lot of theory for today. I'm gonna stop, but if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below or in the Discord channel, and have a great weekend.